my FPL Game Week 38 team selection for the final time this season. We're going to take a look how my team is lining up going into the upcoming game. We'll talk about my potential transfer. Do I play it safe? Do I go boring? Or do I try and do something a little bit more exciting like buying Jared Bowen into my team? We'll talk about captaincy where it does feel wide open. Is Salah's form too much of a concern to captain him? Or is he actually the best option in what could be a bit of a high-scoring game in Liverpool's last home match? It is my Game Week 38 team selection, the final one of the season. What is up, everyone? FPL Harry here. Before we dive in, 2,000 likes is the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here. And 37 weeks are done, meaning we've got just one left. Before we look at Game Week 38, let's have a look back at Game Week 37. It was enough for a green arrow. Got 63 points, which was 5 above my safety score. Thank you very much, Ezri Konsa, for his goal, for his 15-pointer, which was enough to move me from a red arrow into a green arrow effectively. I moved from 7.777k up to 6,368. I'm now about 12 points inside the top 10k with just one game week left. However, there are some highly owned players in the likes of Alexander Isak, in the likes of Jared Bowen and Morgan Rogers, plus a few defenses who have great fixtures this week that could hurt me. So it is definitely not over. I'm a little bit nervous despite the gap. I think my team is not perfect for this week. I've got just one free transfer. So it was nice to get a green arrow in Game Week 37 to increase the buffer a little bit, but it's definitely not done. Let me know how you got on Game Week 37. And what are your targets? What are your plans? What do you need from Game Week 38? So with just one free transfer left and 1.3 million in the bank, I'm basically boiled it down to two potential transfers for me this week. First one is going and buying Jared Bowen. Now, Kevin De Bruyne has been good. He's been okay. His actual output has not been great. He did miss an open goal in that game against Bournemouth, which would have been a completely different outlook going into the final game week of the season. And I don't think I would even be considering selling him if he'd have just tapped that in to the open net from 5 yards out, but he didn't. And I do like the prospect of Jared Bowen. This feels like the transfer I want to make the most, but I'm not sure it's the most sensible transfer. If we got news going into the deadline that Kevin De Bruyne was definitely not going to start, I would definitely make this transfer. If we get news that De Bruyne is going to start, or even if we get no news, I do still think it is something I will consider, because I think Bowen is a much better option than Kevin De Bruyne in Game Week 38. I don't expect Fulham Manchester City to be very high scoring. I do think that Ipswich West Ham might be more high scoring than the Manchester City game. However, the more sensible transfer, probably the more boring transfer, will be to upgrade my defence. At the moment, I'm starting either Munoz or a Forest defender. And as a Chelsea fan, I don't really want to start a Forest defender given how much that game means as a Chelsea fan. And I don't want a Forest player in my team. So at the moment, it's Munoz starting, but upgrading him to one of the better defenders this week probably gives me a better combination. So if you look at it in terms of combination, Munoz and Bowen versus De Bruyne and one of these defenders, I imagine all of you in the comments will say De Bruyne and one of the defenders is better, but please let me know if you disagree, because if loads of you disagree, I am interested to know. Like, let's say we go Fabian Schar, who's most likely. Is De Bruyne and Schar or Munoz and Bowen a better combination of players this week? Schar, Ben White and Kirkez are the top three. They're the top three predicted defenses in Game Week 38 in terms of clean sheet odds. 2 home fixtures, and then Ben White going away to Southampton, and Arsenal do need a clean sheet if David Raya has a chance of winning the Golden Glove. Fabian Schar is my favourite though. I think Everton just won't be focusing on this game after their last game at Goodison Park. I also don't think Leicester will be focusing on their game given it was Jamie Vardy's last game and who's going to play up front for them in that game. But Schar also has a really good attacking threat. Everton are likely to be without both Tarkowski and Branthwaite, which means they'll be pretty weak from set pieces as well. So I do like Fabian Schar the most out of these defenders. Munoz would be the one to leave. Or do I just go De Bruyne and buy Jared Bowen? Because that's the transfer I really think I want to make. So taking a look at my final lineup for Game Week 38. In goal, we're going with David Raya. I don't have an Arsenal defender, so Raya is covering that. He's chasing the Golden Glove. Areola made a lot of mistakes against Nottingham Forest. I think he probably starts, but I don't think it's guaranteed that he does. Fabianski could get a game before he leaves West Ham, although that should have really happened in their final home game in Game Week 37. So David Raya is a pretty obvious one. Into my defence, Gvardiol and Konsa have been great for me recently. I'm definitely going to start both of those. Gvardiol away at Fulham, they actually only need a point to get Champions League football outside of some miraculous goal difference swing. So I do think that game might actually be quite low scoring. I don't mind it. He's so highly owned anyway. Ezri Konsa going away to a Manchester United team who have just lost the Europa League final. I don't expect there'll be a very good mood around Old Trafford for that game. And Aston Villa have been on great form, defensively keeping clean sheets, and Konsa is definitely going to start. They know what they need. They need to win if they want to have a chance of Champions League football going into next season and finishing in the top 5. It does mean I plan on using my one transfer in upgrading Munoz. I think Fabian Schär is the most likely. The Arsenal defence is good. I do quite like the Bournemouth defence as well, but the Newcastle defence for me is the most highly owned. It's the biggest ranked threat, and I think Schar is actually a really nice differential, but covering off the Newcastle clean sheet at home to Everton as well. I am benching double Nottingham Forest defence, but as a Chelsea fan, as I said, I just want there to be 9 games plus that game because there is so much riding on it. I am hopeful that Chelsea score, but Williams and Milenkovic have always been pretty mixed in terms of returns recently, but they're benched, and the planned transfer, I haven't made it yet though, is Munoz to Schär and benching both Forest defenders. Then we move into my midfield. Salah is in. He's going to start. I'm not selling him. I understand people that don't think his returns recently have been great. They haven't, but he's still chasing his record. He needs 2 attacking returns to join the record for the most in a Premier League season. And Burmo is 1 goal away from 20 Premier League goals. Again, he's had a fantastic season. I'm definitely starting him. And then it's Saka. I do think there's a bit of a risk that Saka definitely starts this game. I just don't think it's guaranteed at all. I do think he probably does. I think it's about 75% chance that he does. But it is a game that doesn't really mean anything to Arsenal apart from the Golden Glove. And could Ethan Nwaneri start? Yes. Could Saka start and only play 70? Yes, that's also possible. I do think Saka will start. I do think I'm just going to keep him unless we hear before the deadline that he's definitely not going to play. And the final one is De Bruyne. I wish this was Jared Bowen, but I'm not going to do it for a hit. And I do think the defender transfer is more of a priority. If he'd have just tapped that in against Bournemouth, we wouldn't even be having a conversation about whether I should start De Bruyne this week or not. So yeah, it's not the best fixture. I actually don't love going away to Fulham on the final day, and City don't need to win. A 0-0 draw would be enough for them to get Champions League football, although I don't think they'll be relying on that. So I'm pretty happy with that. Jared Bowen is the big player in my midfield that I'm missing, but I don't think I need to sell one of my midfielders to get it unless we hear that Kevin De Bruyne is not going to start. But even then, I am tempted by the De Bruyne to Burn move, but I don't think I'll do it. It means that Ismail Assar of Crystal Palace is on the bench. He's a pretty fine first sub. I expect there to be goals in Crystal Palace Liverpool, but he's been okay, a bit frustrating, a bit disappointing. So I'm pretty happy to bench him for game week 38. And then we're moving up front. The first one is Yohan Wissa of Brentford. 19 goals this season. He is 1 away from 20. Again, iconic duos of the Premier League like Salah and Mane, like Drogba and Lampard. Thank you for correcting me in the comments that apparently they've done it. To get 20 goals for 2 players in the same club from Burma and Wissa would be an incredible achievement. He's also joint top this season for goals without penalties with 19, level with Mo Salah, which is an incredible record for him. So very happy with that. Watkins has actually never scored in this Premier League against Manchester United. And I think it's the only Premier League club he's never scored against, which with 1 game left and them needing to win to get Champions League football is a little bit of a weird place to be, I think. But I'm pretty happy with him. Manchester United, after their game in the Europa League final, I'm not expecting a big performance from them. And Watkins is just the main man at Aston Villa. So fingers crossed for him. And then it is Evan Nilsson. I'm pretty happy to have just one Bournemouth attacker, a Bournemouth player, in what should be a great fixture for them. I think there is a small chance of rotation just because they can't get European football now, but Leicester at home is great. I've had him for a few weeks. He hasn't done anything. He could have scored against Manchester City in game week 37, although he was on my bench, but I'm pretty happy with how that looks as a front line. So that's where we're at. The front 7 looks pretty good. I know De Bruyne to Bowen is something I am considering and I should consider, but I think to give me the best 11 this week, upgrading Munoz to a strong defender like Fabian Schär is most likely. It is possible that I do De Bruyne to Bowen though. Those are about the only 2 moves I'm really considering, and I'm pretty certain I won't take a hit this week. 12 points inside the top 10k. That is the aim for the final day. In terms of captaincy, I understand people don't love Salah's form. People don't like how Liverpool are playing, how they're not focused on it, but I do think Liverpool will go full strength, and I do think Salah will continue to chase the records that he needs, 2 final attacking returns to hopefully get him over the line, and at home to a Palace team who don't have much to play for and are in party mode. And although, they beat Wolves on Tuesday night, I did still concede 2 goals in that game as well. So pretty happy with it. Pretty set on Salah captain. Vice captain is currently on Saka. It could move elsewhere if we're not certain on Saka's minutes though, but I'm pretty certain that Salah will start that game. So that is the final team. One transfer is planned of Munoz to Schar. It could be Bowen in for De Bruyne, but that's the final team selection of the season. We have one more video to go tomorrow on Saturday morning, and then the deadline stream on Sunday. And I know lots of you will tune in for the stream. Some of you will watch the video tomorrow morning, but as a first opportunity to just say a massive thank you. We've had an incredible season on the channel. My first season with it being my first full season with it being my full-time job. You say job, it's the best job in the world that I could possibly ask for. And I'm just so grateful to every single one of you for letting that happen and being a part of the journey as well. We'll, of course, be back again next year to do it all over again. But yeah, thank you for your support. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all of it. I cannot say enough how grateful I am to all of you for letting this be a possibility for me. We'll have one more video tomorrow. If you've got questions, drop them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer as many as I can with just a couple of days and actually a bit of time still to go until the game week 38 deadline. 2,000 likes is the aim. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Like before you go, subscribe before you go, and I'll be back again very soon.